good evening, and welcome to week 3 of John's Wrestling Views. Once again, thank you for tuning in this week and seeing what my opinions are of what's going on. Starting with TNA, TNA this last Thursday was the Thanksgiving episode of TNA, which featured throughout the entire episode the faction of Immortal along with Fortune having their big Thanksgiving feast. And the theme behind this whole feast was not just Thanksgiving, but it was bringing Dixie Carter back into the Impact Zone. Eric Bischoff supposedly feeling bad for what they have done to Dixie and her company, and just kind of showing the remorse side. And Immortal wasn't fine with it at first, but as the show progressed, they all of a sudden were looking forward to Dixie Carter coming. Why? Well, who knows? The big standout in that was Hulk Hogan. At the beginning of the episode, he complained to Eric Bischoff saying, "Why do you have to bring Dixie back?" And then towards the middle of the episode, he goes, "I'm looking forward to Dixie Carter being there." And in the end, it resulted in Dixie Carter just kind of essentially sharing the property rights of TNA and saying where Hogan fits in. And apparently Hogan doesn't have as much of a say as he does in the company, and she's taking him to court. I was a little zoned out during that part of the episode, but apparently this is how they're bringing Dixie Carter back into TNA. Obviously, she wasn't gone this whole time as it was. She just needs to be involved in the storyline less. Maybe she had a family vacation or something. But Dixie Carter's getting herself back into the picture. Maybe she'll start working along with Vince Russo behind the scenes afterwards. That was the theme of TNA. It also was themed around Matt Morgan getting ready for his big title match against Jeff Hardy at Final Resolution this coming Sunday, actually. And so getting ready for the episode, him and Douglas Williams were forming a team to take on Fortune in an 8-man elimination tag match. And Matt Morgan and Douglas Williams ended up finding Samoa Joe and the Pope, D'Angelo De Niro. 4 guys who all have a problem with Fortune, all have a problem with Immortal, 8-man elimination tag. Matt Morgan still hasn't found the referee for his title match against Jeff Hardy at Final Resolution. That was the disappointing thing of it all. You'd think by the end of the night that he would have made the huge announcement, but it ended a little differently. It showed both James Storm getting eliminated, like at the very beginning of the match by a roll-up, and then it showed Kazarian actually getting pinned by Douglas Williams, once again showing that maybe Douglas Williams is going to be a face now. Like I said last week, I still don't trust him. We'll see what happens. But in the end, Samoa Joe and the Pope fought off, and they were battling to the back, and they were out of the picture. And then Douglas Williams gets eliminated by AJ Styles, and it was down to Matt Morgan and AJ Styles and Robert Roode. So it was 1-on-2. And Matt Morgan was fighting off as best he could until Jeff Hardy got involved, hitting a new twist of hate on Matt Morgan, and the match was thrown out. Kind of a disappointing ending for a wrestling show, but it's what you expect anymore. Obviously, just leading more on to the Matt Morgan, Jeff Hardy storyline. Also, Team 3D is still broken up. It's the same thing every week. Our brother Ray's coming out and, "Oh, Devon was a weaker Dudley, weaker member of the tag team. He's just going to crash on Brother Devon." It's similar to when The Miz and John Morrison broke up in the other company a couple of years ago. They're referring themselves to the Rockers. Who's the Shawn Michaels of the team, the big standout guy? Who's the Jannetty of the team, the guy who nobody hears of after that? That's what they're doing with this one. I personally find it corny. I guess they're just running out of material for Team 3D to do, so they're going to try the whole breaking them up and have them rival against each other to see how well this goes over. Quite frankly, I personally think it will not go too well over. And then on to the knockouts of TNA. It started at just a basic conversation in the back between the beautiful people as Ric Flair was trying to get them to join their feast, and Mickie James gets involved, telling Angelina good job tonight. Or last week when they faced each other in the #1 contenders for Knockouts Championship match. The beautiful people didn't care. They're just being disrespectful to her. That started a confrontation of words. Tara and Madison Rayne get in there, and then it starts a tradition of a Thanksgiving food fight/fight. Sarita gets in. Apparently goes to hit Velvet Sky with a cookie sheet. It hits Madison Rayne too. So Madison Rayne's upset. The two of them have a match. Sarita wins. It was kind of it was more or less a street fight. Neither of them were in wrestling attire, and it was just kind of it wasn't that exciting of a match. Of course, Sarita wins. You would think that's going to put her in the Knockouts Championship picture. We'll see what happens. And then the Motor City Machine Guns, I guess it once again shows how TNA is studying WWE, because now at Final Resolution there'll be Motor City Machine Guns and Generation Me in a Full Metal Mayhem match, which is the equivalent to a tables, ladders, and chairs. Once again, hey, if WWE's going to do it, we're going to try to do it better. And you got two tag teams of the caliber of Generation Me, exciting to watch, and the Motor City Machine Guns just as exciting to watch, except more experience. You're going to be in for one treat if you watch Final Resolution with that TLC match. I don't personally have an opinion on who's going to win. Maybe it's Generation Me's time as tag team champions. Who knows? Should be an exciting match. They didn't really do anything to escalate that rivalry on Thursday, as they had their brawl the Thursday before that in the empty Impact Zone, which saw the Motor City Machine Guns on top. Something to stick around and keep watching for. Impact, they film 2 episodes a night usually, or a week, and so they kind of break things up. They have the big headline superstars there every episode, and then they're not as big names. They just kind of give every other week. So probably next week we're gonna we'll see more escalating of the storyline between Motor City Machine Guns and Generation Me, as Final Resolution is the following Sunday. Overall, TNA, good episode. The knockout of the week, definitely Sarita with her win over Madison Rayne. Like I said, wasn't a very exciting match, but she's the name that you're going to take away from that episode, saying that I remember her. She was the standout knockout of the episode. The men, it was kind of a disappointing episode. Jeff Jarrett had his match against Jesse Neal. And then everything was based on that 8-man tag. I don't know if I can give you who would be the standout superstar of the week. Maybe Jesse Neal, who honestly should have lost to Jeff Jarrett. Of course, everyone knew Jeff Jarrett was going to win, but it was that guitar shot that did it over, and then he used that chokehold that Samoa Joe likes to do to end the match, and Jesse Neal was unconscious. So, and then Rhino and Tommy Dreamer had a decent street fight. It wasn't the greatest. Van Dam is now facing Rhino at Final Resolution in the First Blood match. So, yeah, I'll say standout superstar of the week, Jesse Neal. But quite frankly, performances per superstars this week was a little disappointing. And that covers TNA from the last week.